my beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of the HustleCoast Podcast. Today we have an absolutely phenomenal guest on the show. He is a rapper, performer, and visionary, along with an insane lyricist. So let's welcome to the mic, Brodeezy.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man. So me and you, we've known each other for a while now, at least a couple years, I would say.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 100%. And I've always really rocked with your music, man. And, we're going to get into your whole story today. So just kind of, I always like to start off from the beginning, the origin story. Where were you born? What was your childhood like, upbringing, all that?
Got you. Yeah, so I'm straight out of Tampa, straight from Tampa. Like North Tampa is where I grew up. I've been here most of my life. Growing up, really sports was my biggest thing. I was a football player and whatnot. Always had musical inspirations to become something. Tried playing the guitar, tried playing the drums. My brother was a lot better than me at the drums, so I had to figure something out. Started kind of writing raps and poetry, probably at middle school, and then just kept getting better at that. So that's kind of what evolved into what I'm doing now. But yeah, man, straight from Tampa, very athletic background, translated to music after kind of injuries and stuff took away my athletic career, and just became an outlet, and then it turned into what it is now. So, yes, sir.
100%. And you don't meet too many people who are actually from Tampa. Tampa is like a melting pot. So there's not too many of us that are actually from the Bay Area,
True.
100%.
It's very true. Yeah, no, I'm Tampa Tarzan, 100%. Yes, sir.
I like that, man. Tampa Tarzan. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so when you were growing up, did you say it was just you and a brother, or was there multiple siblings?
I just have one brother. He's like 6 years older than me. He was a DJ back in the day. He rapped. He was dope. He stopped making music, but he was definitely the one who inspired me in the beginning. He used to always be playing like Swisher House and Screwed Up Click and all that type of stuff, burning CDs, bunch of old Lil Wayne. So I'd be riding around with him in the Caprice, listening to all that good stuff, and that's what really kind of kicked the fire in me to start writing music, writing rap. So
yeah, 100%, man. That's sick, dude. I'm kind of similar. I'm one of five. I'm the second youngest, but okay. I also had an older brother who kind of introduced me to, both my older brothers really kind of introduced me to music early on. And, for kids like us, where you had an older sibling in a generation that was above you, we kind of got introduced to it early, I think.
100%. Yeah, no. I was chopping and screwing on a mixer at 11 years old in his room. So. Yes, sir.
That's dope, man. Heck yeah. Man. So you said you started writing around middle school?
Yeah, definitely my first like little raps or poems or whatever you want to call them. It was just a cappella, just me trying to rhyme words together. But honestly, even since the first things I wrote, they were always really deep. It was like an outlet for me, just things I was going through as a youngin'. But that became into just trying to turn that into some fun stuff. And then, getting into high school and freestyling at parties and just having fun with it. But really my main focus as a kid was sports and football. So until, after high school, I guess like my senior year, right after high school, things weren't going as I hoped they would. So I just started kind of taking music more seriously. At that time I was with a little group of guys that we were recording all the time. We were like, there's a whole story, but we were basically somewhat signed to some dude that was a weird little label thing that he had trying to get going. And, over time we just kind of separated a little bit. But yeah, so I started rapping with these dudes straight out of high school. They were a little older than me. We made some decent music together, a couple of music videos, and then I just kind of separated to do my own thing after a little time went on. And yeah, man, it's been up since then. So
yeah, 100%, man. That's dope.
Yes, sir.
And I also wanted to take a moment and also touch on the fact that, because I was actually watching your highlight tape, your senior highlight tape earlier today, and I just want to shout out, I believe it was your senior tape. That's what I think it said on it. But you were a badass football player.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That was my life for sure. It's the typical story for me. If it wasn't for my knee, I'd be in the league. But when you got 4 ACL tears, it's kind of, you got to stop at some point. So yeah, my knees just never worked with me after the first tear. But yeah, man, I was legit for sure. I was a good linebacker, good football player.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I'm so sorry to hear that, man. I know injuries are never fun. But can you kind of just talk about, a little bit of kind of what you went through for people who don't know exactly what that is?
Yeah, man. So here's the story. Basically, going into my senior year, I had my junior year was like my big year. I had a lot of really good stats. I had tons of D1 colleges reaching out to me, calling me personally, all that stuff. So the looking to go D1 dream was happening, and I was playing rugby in the off season to kind of keep myself in shape instead of running track because I hated running track. So I played rugby instead, and I tore my ACL on the USF soccer field playing against another team. Just popped my knee, and thought I'd be back in halftime. Had to get off the field and kind of just like lay down for a little bit, let it recover. Tried to take a step, and I was like, oh, something's wrong. So that was my first ACL tear. I had to get it surgery immediately so that I could play my senior year. So I did that. Going into my senior year, I had like tons of pain. I put on a good bit of weight. Still had a decent senior year. I know you say you saw my junior year or my senior year highlight, but my junior year is even better, my boy.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but yeah, so my senior year, I was playing with that big bulky robotic brace on. Season went decent. I tweaked it a couple times throughout the season, which I think I like partially tore it. And then after the season, I was just playing basketball with some friends, and I retore it again. And then from there, man, it seemed like every 2 years I tore my knee. I ended up tearing the other one in like a freak accident that I forget ever happens. It was just like pop, got it done, and then it's fine. And then I did my left one a couple more times. Got to the point where I was like, I'm done with these surgeries. They're not working. I keep fixing it, and it keeps re-tearing. So I would tear my ACL, my medial meniscus, multiple times on my left side and once on my right. So at that point, I just said, screw it. So this is where it gets crazy, though. Coming from someone with an athletic background who played football and sports my whole life, I was always very fast, very physical. I couldn't run from the age of shit. When we made our music video, I was walking with a limp, bro. Like my knee was terrible. I had like no leg strength. I was in really bad shape with everything. Like I would try to do something slightly athletic and it would just like pop out of place, and then I'd be off my feet for 3 days. So going to a doctor trying to fix that, he just recommended I need another surgery. But he also said with the amount of surgeries I've had, it's really going to speed up the process for like a potential knee replacement in the future. So I kind of had to make a choice right then and there. Always had a big, background of the gym and stuff like that. My initial thing I wanted to do to go to college was to be a physical therapist and a personal trainer. That didn't happen, but a few years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, I decided to become a personal trainer. I got certified and everything, and I made it my mission to strengthen my knee back to what it should be. And just over time, I'm grinding it out, man. I'm literally at the fastest I've ever been in my life. My knee is great. It feels solid. It feels sturdy. There's no ACL in there, but I made up for it by connecting, getting everything stronger around it. Shout out knees over toes guy. He helped me out. And then just grinding and doing my own stuff to try to really strengthen it. So yeah, we're back to running the 4.640 and all that good stuff. So feeling good.
Hey, yes, sir. Happy to hear it, man. Yeah, bro. I know that. First of all, that's brutal. That's crazy that you had to go through that, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. But do you feel like some of that adversity that you had to go through, physically, do you feel like it kind of shaped you to like building to become kind of like unbreakable, I guess you could say?
Yeah, for sure, man. In a way, when I realized how much we have control over our body and our muscles, when I, really put in the work to re-strengthen my knee, it just made me realize, what the body is truly capable of. And, there's tons of people who, we, in America, we like to make the choice of getting surgeries and getting on pills instead of, fitness and, nutrients and vitamins and doing the correct things that we can do to actually properly train our body. So that was a big point when I felt at the weakest, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything, where I really made a big turn in my life. A bunch of other things were happening too, and I just had to dig deep, bro. It was either like kind of in that situation of like give up or fight, and so we just decided to fight through it, and yeah, that taught me a lot and helped me be able to teach other people and become a coach. So that was definitely a big turning point in my life for sure.
100%, man. Yeah, because I feel like that situation or those type of, trials and tribulations, for some people, they break you.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So for some people, they break you, and then for other people, they make you. And I just think it's interesting to see, certain people who, that's what this podcast is all about. Hustlers, go-getters, high achievers, people who refuse to take no for an answer, and overcomers. And that's why, bro, I appreciate, having you on the podcast, because even just that story in your life, is a testament to the fact that you didn't, stop when the going got tough.
Yes, sir. 100%. Yeah, man. Hey, shout out to anyone who's dealt with that life after sports depression. It is real. I've been there, and it's a tough thing to get through. But, I think it's always good to have a plan B. And I think my thing was always the fact that I wanted to make music and embrace that side of me. I just was too locked in and focused on the goal that I set for myself at a young age. But, you gotta have multiple things that you're doing. You can't put your eggs in too many baskets, but you gotta have other things and other skills and talents that you could build onto. Because if you don't, you're gonna feel lost. And I've been there, but you can get through it.
Yeah, 100%. So moving over to your music, and I love your music and everything that you've done as a rapper, and we're gonna talk about all of it. But what was the moment that you knew that music was more than just a hobby, but it was a passion?
Ooh, learning that it was a passion. I think just the joy that it gave me, from just the little things, man. Like when I first started, just the little freestyles at parties and kind of getting the crowd going, and just that feeling. I've always been kind of used to be pretty quiet in crowds and stuff like that. Kind of just stayed to myself, did my own thing. So I guess the switch up of getting out of your comfort zone, having all eyes on you, was like a challenge that became addicting. And still to this day, I mean, I'm out here hitting open mics. I'm staying active, because it's no matter what, every time you get on a stage, it's a challenge. It's out of your comfort zone, and it's addicting, man. I just love doing it. So, from the age of 17, 18, I think I realized how passionate I was about it, because anytime I'm driving, I'm just thinking and rhyming and freestyling. And if I was in class or something, sorry, teacher, I'm just trying to write lyrics and stuff. So I know that's everyone be talking about how they be doing that, but that really was what it was. It was the one thing that I felt like I could kill time. I could get into a zone, put myself in a mental spot. And then once you get it all on paper, it's like an outlet. It feels good to get it out in some type of way.
Yeah, 100%, man. And speaking of which, you went to Freedom High School, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay, nice, man. Yeah, I know Freedom. I knew some people who went there. I'm a Chamberlain chief, you know what I'm saying?
Chambo.
But yes, sir. But that's sick, man. So you were the kid who was in the back of the class writing rhymes while everybody was trying to do math and all that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, yeah. I still got some of the papers at my parents' house, just crazy raps I was writing over some No Ceilings beats and stuff like that.
Sick, man, sick.
Yes,
when was your first time that you actually recorded?
So I remember my freshman year, I downloaded Mixcraft or Audacity. It was one of the two, Audacity or Mixcraft, one of those free DAWs. And I made a song that was like a three-peat remix by Lil Wayne. Nice. And probably like 3 or 4 other songs I threw on my MySpace. Yeah, I'm showing my age right now. And yeah, that was that. So that was the first time I ever put myself on a mic. And then my boy lived down the street. He had like an actual setup, because I was recording on a Rock Band mic. Like, remember Guitar Hero? Yeah. And then Rock Band? I was recording on a Rock Band mic, which is like, I guess, recording on the phone these days.
Right.
And my boy had like a real studio down the street. And I remember I go to his house, and he was awesome. I mean, he definitely helped. Shout out my boy Evan, you know what I'm saying? Haburu Music.
Shout out.
But yeah, so once I started seeing him doing the engineering stuff, and I was like, bro, I would sit in my room all day doing that if I had this setup. So I got a cheap laptop and Mixcraft, and then I've been recording myself ever since then. So, I mean, I go to studios, shout out R&R and stuff like that too, but it's something different about recording yourself in your own, comfort zone and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. So that's where you go now? You go to R&R studios?
Usually, if I'm going to go to the studio, that's where I go. Bundy, Civilian, they're all good people over there. But 90% of the time I record my own stuff, and then I'll reach out if I need any help with the master and stuff like that. Right.
And you do a great job, man, because, I heard the album that you put out, I believe it was last year.
Yes, sir.
And I definitely want to talk about that. It was called The Outcome.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. And what did that have, 10 songs on it?
10 tracks, 30 minutes long.
Bro, that's what's up, man. Not a lot of people are dropping albums these days, man.
Yeah. It was one of those things where I'm kind of in a similar process right now, but I had made all these tracks over like 2-3 years, and I was like, man, what am I going to do with all this? And it was all a period of time it was a period of time. So all the songs had a similar vibe in a way. and I just started playing them through, and I'm like, man, this is an album. Instead of releasing these as singles, like I'm not currently in the same headspace as I was when I created that, so it's a feeling. So if you listen through the whole thing and the way it tells the story, it kind of starts fun and then gets into some deeper stuff as you go down. Like the last song on the album, Outro, is just straight up just empty and letting it all out, man. And I love that song. But yeah, so it was the outcome of everything I was going through. I chopped the mop off at that time. Got the ugly album cover picture. It was just an outcome of a lot of things that were happening in my life at that time. So I put it together, put it into an album, and put it out, man. So it's been about 1 year since that was out. It's doing pretty good. I could have promoted some things and marketed some things better. That's on my side, but overall, I mean, I still think it's a pretty damn good album for sure.
Yeah, no, man, it's definitely a great body of work. And, like I said, I've been listening to it, and you're just lyrical, bro. Like, you also have a vibe, but you're lyrical. And that's what I like about you. Like, you give me like when I hear your music, it always reminds me, and I don't know if you get this a lot, but it reminds me of like, and not to compare you to other rappers, you have your own sound, but like, I'm going to tell you kind of what it reminds me of. Like, it kind of reminds me of the NF, the Logics, like the real, in certain aspects, the Joiners, you know what I'm saying? Like, you give me that where it's more lyrical than the era, but you also find your melodies in there, which is super dope too. So that's why I really rock with it, bro.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, no, I'll take that as a compliment for sure.
Yeah.
Those are all dope artists. There's definitely some inspo from guys like that. Obviously, just being a youngin' and listening to like Eminem. And I remember even like I had a big Hobson phase at one point, listening to a lot of his stuff. I guess it's a difference of like the venting on the beat. And like I said, it's always been an outlet for me. So it's like that vibe naturally comes. But I like to have fun. I like to create some bangers and some bops and some positivity too. So like it's almost a struggle to get out of the that vibe that I kind of have on the outcome and just kind of make some more like uplifting stuff just because I'm so used to that style. But always going to keep the lyricism and the fast flows and stuff like that.
Oh, 100%, man. Now for that project, did you engineer that project yourself or did you go to okay.
Yeah, that is fully engineered by me. Mixed and mastered, recorded, written by your boy. The only thing I don't do is create my own beats, but I got a few different producers on there. So shout out to all of them. They're all tagged in the songs and everything. And so all engineered by me too.
Oh, nice, man. That's what's up, bro. You're really working over there.
Appreciate it, bro. I mean, before I, put myself out there as an artist, I was an audio engineer. So there was Tampa Bay Underground Sounds. I don't know if you remember that or if anyone remembers that, but that was all me. I had a SoundCloud, had a YouTube, had a bunch of different artists that would come through, and I just was running my own recording studio out of my bedroom. And we did a cypher, had it on YouTube for a while. So that's what started, the love of engineering and everything was just doing it for other artists. Shout out Desasaur, my boy Patience. There was a bunch of them that came through there, and we made some good songs. So eventually, I just started. I was always writing and making my own music, but eventually, I kind of stepped away from engineering others and just focusing on doing my own music. So
100%.
Yes, sir.
So, who are some of your biggest influences coming up?
So it may not sound like it a lot, but a lot of the Houston rap was what I first started listening to. Lil Wayne is still, in my opinion, probably the greatest of all time. Eminem, since I was a youngin', just hearing it played all the time, and his, how entertaining and animated he can be was always inspiring. And there's been a bunch of new guys, throughout like the last 10 years that I've caught inspo off of. But that's always a tough question for me because I feel like it changes. I'll go through a year where I'm really inspired by this guy and then I'm not too inspired and stuff like that. I've always tried to, not, I guess, copy and paste from anybody, but obviously take inspiration and, just go from there. So I'd say those are probably the main ones though.
Nice. And I'm pretty sure that me and you are probably pretty close to the same era. And with that said, Lil Wayne, I remember also being in high school, and Lil Wayne was at basically like his peak, right around that time. So I would definitely agree with that. You know what I mean? Like Wayne was, the number one guy. Like obviously Eminem has always been around, since we were kids. Like You know what I mean? But when I was in high school, late middle school, it was Wayne. He was the top guy.
He was top of the game for
Yeah.
for so long. I mean, any song that he featured on was a hit. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
You couldn't drop a hit if it didn't have Lil Wayne on it at the time.
Yeah.
And I guess just his demeanor of like, I'm the best rapper alive. I love that shit. And you know, I don't care if it's being cocky or anything. And I think that's definitely something I caught on the inspiration of is just having that fucking that feeling when you hop on the beat. You got to come at it like that in ways. So yeah, shout out Tunchi.
Yeah, man, for sure. Have you because obviously I know again you're a lyricist and you talk about freestyling. Did you ever used to battle?
So I battled online a good bit. I've never done an in-person battle. I at one point battled online. I made some money doing it. That was pretty cool. It's honestly, I got a huge love for battle rap. Shout out my boy Loso. He's super fire. All the battle rappers, I respect the hell out of how they write and how they come up with everything. It's just a different form of lyricism to shred somebody like that. So I still have a big love for battle rap, and I've always wanted to do it. I still probably will do a battle at one point in person against somebody. Sorry for whoever my opponent is, but you know.
Yo, speaking of which, man, I would love to be the one to host that battle, dog. So dude, if and when that happens, bro, we gotta find the other most lyrical person like in Florida, bro, and we gotta set that battle up, whether it's virtual or in person, bro. And you gotta let me host that thing.
I'm all about it, my boy. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Did you because I was actually just talking to another one of my buddies on podcast the other day, Crack-a-Lack, but we were both reminiscing because he's from Michigan. We were both reminiscing on just, you know, growing up watching 8 Mile, bro, and those battle scenes. Were you on that?
Of course. I still know them word for word.
Nice,
for sure.
Man. Nice. Me too. Yeah, bro. Honestly, that was one of my big inspirations, that movie growing up. Yep. It wasn't like my only inspiration, but like it was one of my big inspirations as well. But, you know, as I kind of got started, I always used to think that rapping and like battling and all that was super cool. But then as I kind of got older and stuff, I found to go a different route, more so of like, you know, just trying to make like feel good music, I guess, you know, a little bit more like melodic and stuff. But I still respect the hell out of people who write. You know, I'm a writer, but I wouldn't say I'm a battler, you know, or like a crazy freestyler.
Heard that. Yeah, no, I definitely had some inspiration from 8 Mile. I mean, I remember that might have been the first rap I ever wrote when I was extremely young, and I watched that thing and I tried to write something down. It was probably terrible. I was probably barely could talk at that time, but yeah. So.
That's awesome, man. So when you're writing, do you first come up with the bars, the message, or the melody?
Good question. Usually I find the beat and I just let the beat talk to me. So I always want to start with a hook and a message before I get into the verse. Lots of times I just start writing the verse and I'm like, dude, this is going somewhere. I like this flow, this pocket I'm catching, you know, what I'm talking about. It's got potential. Let me try to find a hook for it and stuff like that. But if I can get a message or an idea of a subject, hop on the beat and then start with the hook, the verses are going to come no matter what. The hook's probably the hardest part for me. I can spit a 16 or a verse any day of the week on any beat. Creating the hook is my challenge usually sometimes. And like, you know, you got to have something to reel them in and slow it down and catch the people. So, you know, I'd say message, hook, verse is how I want to do it. Doesn't always happen that way, but yeah.
For sure. All right. Do you have a favorite song that you've done that has sentimental value to you, or that's just your all-time favorite song that you've ever recorded?
Woo! It's tough to say. They all have different meanings, and I think what really makes me love a song is what the song did for me. My first time ever getting on a stage, I performed. My first time on a real stage, I performed I'm a Boss, Progress, and Never Give a Fuck. Those are still 3 songs that I just love. Progress is probably one of my favorites of all time just because the energy it brings to a room when I perform it. But right now, I'm going to have to say Do My Thing. That song is a good vibe. It's fun. It's got an actual deep message to it if you really listen. And it's fun to perform, man. I performed it a lot in these last few months. And I'm not tired of it yet, so I hope y'all aren't, because I performed it a lot. So that's probably my number one right now.
That's what's up, man, for sure. And yeah, dog, I've been seeing a lot of videos that you've been posting about you going and hitting these performances. You're really out there working.
Yes, sir, man. That was my New Year's resolution, was to stay active again, and I've definitely done that. The Takeoff open mic at Mad Chillers. That's a great group of people over there. Love
Yeah.
all of them. They showed love, so I kept showing love and coming back on their Monday open mics and just polishing, performing old songs that I never even had the intentions of performing and just trying new stuff out. And man, it's crazy what comes out of that. I just did a song last Monday that I made like 2 years ago called Split Personality, and people loved it. Like, I got really good feedback on it, and that was one that almost got thrown away. So just doing stuff like that it helps you just grow as an artist, man.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I have this one question I feel like I always ask when I have people that are musicians or rappers or artists come on the pod, and what it is do you feel like you're better in the studio, or do you feel like you're better performing on stage?
Woo, good question, bro. Honestly, on stage, man, I will say, like, I'm a pretty good performer, and I think I'm just so excited to be there that it brings out a different side of me that I'm trying to put my best because I got eyes on me. When I'm at a studio with other people, I got to catch a vibe, and like sometimes I might just not be in the right headspace or something. And if I'm at home doing my own thing, recording myself, I mean, there's some nights where I become a god, but there's other nights where I'm just struggling to like get in the zone and stuff like that. So I would say, I mean, on the stage, bro, I flip a switch for sure.
Nice. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you definitely have a lot of energy when you perform. I could tell. I've seen
yeah,
multiple of your performances, so I would agree. That's what's
yeah.
up, for sure.
Thanks.
So, yeah, no doubt. So, a lot of artists chase trends, but you've kind of carved out your own lane. What keeps your music grounded and authentic?
Honestly, I just say just not. I feel like so music right now, man. There's so many artists. It's a very saturated industry. It always has been, but it's very different than it was the early 2000s or even the early 2010s. And I think a big thing is people will hear a sound that's a good sound, and then they'll mimic it, which there's nothing wrong with that at all, because you got to be inspired. You got to try different things to find your own sound. But what makes you gravitate towards an artist when they have a different sound, right? The unique authenticity, and just being a genuine person is, I feel like, is always the biggest thing that's going to attract people to you. So that's why, like, I got a lot of stories, and I keep it pretty vulnerable in my raps, which isn't easy to do because it's hard to put that side of you out to the public and everything. But just not wanting to sound like the next guy or like somebody else from the past. I want to be my own thing, and just trying to be an artist. Not just a rapper, not just an MC. Like, I'm creating art, so when you hear my art, it should feel like it comes from only one source, not like anybody else can do it.
Yeah.
So
no, 100%, man. That's so true. And you're 100% right, because right now, like, so many people, I feel like they sound like someone else. And again, like you said, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that if you're trying to get paid, or if you're trying to just kind of break in, like there's nothing wrong with it in general, I guess. But it's just like, I've never thought that was cool. I always thought that was lame. When I hear somebody who sounds like somebody else, I immediately just go, cool. I've heard that before. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you might sound like them, and the people that are putting money up behind you might be able to think to themselves, well, I can just, catch the crumbs off of the main artist who sounds like that, or whatever, like they can get that sound in there because it's already established and all. But just like from a respect standpoint, or just from like a creative standpoint, I kind of always look down on people whose music sounds like somebody else.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, let's go back in time, right? So, like, rock and roll, all right, 70s, 80s, 90s. Every band had their own sound. Like, you listen to this band for this sound,
Right.
We're talking freaking Pink Floyd. Nobody sounded like Pink Floyd compared to Kiss or some shit like that.
Right.
They're two completely different bands. Even though they're in the same genre, they sound nothing alike. Let's fast forward to the beginning of hip hop, 90s and early 2000s, even 80s. Think of the Def Jam video game. Every artist on there was a different artist.
Right.
Okay, like Ludacris doesn't sound like Snoop Dogg.
Right.
Freaking, you know what I'm saying? It was all different sounds, and you popped in a different CD for a different vibe. Right. So I mean, that was what it was. So now that it's a very saturated game, it's hard not to sound like somebody because there's so many freaking rappers out there.
That's
but
true.
You gotta still try to be unique. You gotta think outside the box. So yeah.
100%. Couldn't agree with that more.
Yes,
for
sir.
sure. So, how do you deal with self-doubt or creative blocks?
I go through it. I'll tell you that. Uh, how do I deal with it? Some days, man, are just not the days. Like I've learned that. Like I'll have a day off sometimes. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna create all day today. We're gonna kill it. We're gonna make 2-3 songs that I've been working on, and I just find out it's just not the day for it. Like I got maybe just too many things in my mind that I got to focus on, and then I'll wake up the next morning and I'm like super hyped up, and I start writing, and it just comes naturally. So my motivation and my inspiration, I wish I could control it better. But it seems like it's not just always a switch that I can turn on immediately. If it hits me, I embrace it and I go in. Mind you, if I need to write something, I'll get it done. But it's different when you have like a mental block. There was a time, bro, like the outcome was kind of made of that. It was like years of mental block when it came to writing. It was just me putting out an energy that I didn't want to put that energy out. It wasn't a good energy. But then some of the songs out of the 30 or 40 that I made, I got to pick 10 out of those that I felt like were definitely meaningful and worth putting out. So I just dropped that, and I think consistency will always keep you more motivated. Like the longer you go without dropping something or performing or just being active, you're just going to keep doubting yourself more because you're not doing anything. You got to be active. Like if I go to an open mic, I might pull up half asleep, not wanting to be there, just work the long shift. Low key just want to go home and chill. But I'm like, what's that doing for me? If I'm here, at least I'm connecting. I'm being active in the city and stuff like that. Every time I get off a stage, I never regret it. Like I'm always going to be happy I did it and something's going to come out of it. And I wake up the next morning. Maybe I heard another artist that night that, I really liked something that he did. And then I want to, take from, what I heard or something like that and do it my own way and like just inspiration. So you got to just stay active to continue your inspiration and your motivation. That's the biggest thing I've learned.
No, 100%, man. And I feel like that's with anything, you got to keep forcing yourself to do it even when you don't feel like it, because sometimes even when you don't feel inspiration, whatever you do might still work, which is one thing. And, just building it over time, just like anything else, you kind of are developing that muscle. So
trying new things too. Like you might find the sound that you've never even heard from yourself.
Right.
And it might even be like funny. Bro, there a couple months ago, I tried to make like a rock song, and I literally went into it as a joke of like, I'm going to make this as 2003 as possible. And I like the song. It's a pretty good song. Like, it was very surprising to me that it started as a joke and it turned into like a damn good song. So
nice, man.
And that inspired me to try it again. So you gotta try different things. Keep it going.
For sure, man. Well, we'll definitely be waiting. I'll be waiting to hear that rock song for sure.
Got you. I got 3 of them. I'll do something with them. I got you.
A rock EP, maybe?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
Honestly, thinking about it.
For sure, man. For sure. And speaking about, because you mentioned, other artists may say something. Let me ask you, man, other than yourself, is there any other artists coming up in your city that you're like, man, this person is good, I would really love to collab with this person, or just somebody that you've seen that's been working?
Definitely. It's hard to name them all off top. I don't want to forget anybody. Man, a lot of these guys I've been seeing at these open mics and at these performances and stuff have tons of potential. Sometimes I'll come across somebody and I'm just like, yo, that dude's got something special to him. There's so much talent in Tampa, just like Doechii said, that people don't seem to realize that about Tampa, but there is a lot of good artists around here. Just a few, boy, Waffle Jacks, fire. Tony Tay, fire. Man, there's too many to name right now, but shout out to those two.
Shout out to them.
Guys that I recently met, they got some potential for sure. Nice. If they just keep doing it, then they'll see a lot. But Tampa's full of it. You already know that. It's crazy how many good artists that we have out here. It's just about keeping the foot on the gas.
For sure. What would you say about the culture in Tampa to somebody who's never been there or, never visited?
Good question. So for me, right, I've always been pretty solo, like when it comes to my music. Like not that I don't work well with others or anything. I just feel like I've always made my creative process best, like alone. My boy Bruce Wayne, shout out to him. Like we've worked together on a lot of songs.
Shout out Bruce Wayne.
We have a song all together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we do.
And so it's just about finding the people that you work well with, because there's tons of artists in here, but there's different groups throughout the city. I do think we all need to kind of come together and promote ourselves and not just our homies. Because at the end of the day, I mean, if Tampa wins, then we all win. Just like, Doechii getting up on the big stage and shouting us out, like that goes far for the city and inspired me. So it's a great culture. I was not active for a couple of years, as in going out and performing and meeting new people and stuff. I just kind of locked in and did my own thing. Now that I've been going out again, man, the vibes are great. Everyone's very welcoming. You get tons of different styles and genres in these performances that even if you're not into, like rock music or like an acoustic guy or something like that, you might get somebody go on stage and blow your minds, or they might not be too good and it's just entertaining, So you get a little bit of everything, but at the end of the day, like, I think we're all just there as artists to see other people do what we do, and we're here to support it no matter what, because we know it's a challenge every time getting on stage, and there's only one way to go, and that's up. So I think we're all just pretty good at supporting each other and kind of teaching them what we've learned throughout the business and the city and stuff like that.
For sure, man. 100%. And I couldn't agree more, man. Obviously I love Tampa. Tampa is my home and will forever be my home. Now I live in Orlando, but all my family is still in Tampa. So I still go back there, and I still always consider myself, what do you call it? A Tampa native, I guess. I don't want to say Tampanian, but, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, man, I feel like Tampa has come a long way in regards to music and culture and art. I know that hip hop has always been pretty prominent in Tampa, and like certain styles of hip hop. Like I know Tom G and all those guys, like they had a big wave in Tampa even when, we were younger. Oh, yeah. But I feel like Tampa has definitely evolved to where it has a lot more sounds now. Where sure. It's not just rap. Not to say that wasn't good, but I mean, Tampa now has singers, like crazy singers, crazy rappers, crazy EDM people, crazy punk rock people, so yeah, there's definitely a lot of talent coming out of Tampa for sure.
Yeah, man, I feel like I've discovered so much in these past 6 months. So many different artists, like you said, EDM and rock, like out of hip hop and rap.
Yeah.
Tons of good poets too, man. Like a lot of good spoken word artists and everything. So like it is a melting pot of all these different people who, a lot of them came from other cities to come to Tampa. And a lot of people that just grew up in I guess St. Pete, Clearwater, Tampa, this whole area. But yeah, man, we're full of talent. We just got to keep it going.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. So what's been your biggest challenge in your journey with music, and how have you pushed through it?
Probably I have an issue with, I've created a lot of songs, and I just wish I put my all into each and every one of them instead of having the mindset of I can do better and then moving on. I think that's like one of my biggest issues, is a little bit of a perfectionist, I guess, where if I hear something and it's just not exactly what I thought it would be or wanted it to be, I will just move on to the next one instead of trying to fine tune it and make it what I wanted it to be. So I'd say that's probably my biggest struggle, bro. Making like halfway writing songs and then moving to the next one. That's that ADD brain. I get I get too excited and I want to move on.
No, I hear you on that, man. In some cases, I'm the same way. And that's why, for me, I don't mind doing features, because I don't have to sit here and finish a whole song. I could just write a super dope hook or a super dope verse, find somebody who's good, get on this thing and let's just make a banger.
True.
Because another thing, too, that's kind of a superpower that people sleep on is like beat selection. Not everybody knows how to pick beats that other people are really going to vibe with. And I feel like you definitely have it. And I feel like I also have it, where I can hear beats that people are going to just like really rock with too,
For sure. It's important. I mean, definitely. Pick some trash ass beats. It's going to be a trash ass song.
Yeah, fact. And it's crazy because like I remember being young and I just thought like any beat was like the best beat. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, like if you just gave me a beat, I'm like, all right, I gotta write some 8 Mile worthy shit to this. You know what I mean? And like, now I know it's like, nah, if you play me 10 trash beats in a row, I'm not even going to try to write to them because there's no reason to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've definitely found the producers that I know, like, if I go to this guy, I know that whatever he makes is going to be good in some type of a way. Might not be my favorite, but it's still a good beat because I just trust their process.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So music is a game that doesn't always show you love right away. What keeps you going when the spotlight isn't shining?
I think it's always like I have a lyric or I have a line in one of my songs where I basically say like that I even if nobody listened, I'd still do this. I straight up I really believe I would because it's just fun, man. I like doing it, and I like listening to my own music because I can relate to it at times. So at the end of the day, like I just enjoy the process of creating music. Like that feeling when I was younger and I had a fully finished song and I was like, that's me on that? No way. Like that feeling was addicting. And I fell in love with it. So to this day, that's still what it is, man. Like I said, when I created that rock song, I couldn't believe that was my voice. I was like, shit, this shit is crazy. So I just really believe that it's not really about wanting just attention for everything. And it's, if you're like a genuine artist and you're putting like being vulnerable in your music and everything, that's going to relate to somebody and they're going to become a true fan instead of just being only an entertainer. And I feel like that kind of can be a phase, like you'll be in that vibe for a little bit, you'll gain some attraction, but how long is that going to last? So me letting my life story out on like songs and everything, if you listen to my stuff from way back, you're going to see the growth, you're going to see changes throughout my music that happened in my life and stuff too. So, I mean, I made the commitment to be an artist at a young age and never looked back and no plans on doing so. That's just who I am and what I do. So, yeah, man.
100%, bro. 100%. Yo, let me ask, who, other than listening to your own music, which actually, before I even say this, I want to mention, because a lot of people think that to be a good singer or a good rapper, like you just start like that. And the crazy thing is, dude, because I hear you talking about, like doing the rock and all that stuff. And it's crazy because for me, when I first started music, I was so shitty, bro. I was the worst person. I remember I would have people tell me, yo, I would rap the same. People would tell me, you sound the same on every single song. And I would never be able to sing. Like I was in a group at one point years ago where I was around all these great singers. I couldn't sing. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. But it's like, if you sit there and you put in your 10,000 hours and you keep writing songs and you keep doing different types of songs, you force yourself to do rock songs, you force yourself to do whatever, electronic songs, you will eventually have a breakthrough and you will eventually get good at whatever you're trying to do.
100%.
So I just wanted to put that out there for everybody who's, an artist and they're new and because you will get good over time. Nobody is good in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Any golfer, they're going to hit 1,000 balls a day until they get good.
Straight up.
Anything you do, you have to do it every day, a lot, just to become good at it. Not amazing at it, not the best at it, just good at it, realistically. Right. Some people got some crazy gifts. That's definitely true. Some people can do it, but don't think that they didn't have to put in some work to figure it out and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, consistency is key in almost everything.
Consistency is key, bro. That's a fact. So what kind of music, other than listening to your own music, what kind of music are you listening to these days? What artists are your favorite artists these days? Who's Brodeezy riding around town listening to?
Bro, I'm weird. Straight up, my music collection is a little bit of everything. Like if you looked at my Spotify playlists, you can be like, what the hell? So honestly, like the main thing that you'll probably still always hear me listening to is old or new Lil Wayne. Just like I said, like something about Weezy, man, has just been my favorite since I was a kid. There's a lot of new guys that I listen to still too, or new guys I've been listening to lately, and I like a lot of like the old school stuff, early 2000s, literally the stuff that I grew up on. Something about it is just, it hits different. The other day I listened to 10 Day by Chance the Rapper and Acid Rap again for the first time in years, and I freaking remembered how much I love that stuff. So yeah, I listen to a lot of the older stuff, but there's still definitely some new guys that I tune into, and I got to go check them out. So I'll take a day of studying and listen to their album and everything. And sometimes they catch me, and I'll listen to them for a month and then move on. Or sometimes I just, it doesn't catch as well as I wanted it to. But whatever I'm shooting for, to be honest, if I am creating a song that has guitar in it or like a rock type vibe, I'll go listen to some rock music. If I'm listening to, or if I'm trying to make something that's a little bit more harder on like a bouncy hip hop beat, throwing the baby on. I love his flow, and stuff like that. So yeah, it changes a lot. I got a weird playlist for sure.
That's what's up, man, for sure. So let me ask you this: what's a better teacher in your opinion, failure or success?
Say failure. You can take a lot out of failure. L is not a loss; it's a lesson. If you take it that way. So anything that you fail on, let's find out why you failed. Let's do it again and do it better. If you win, sometimes you can get big headed and you can think that was enough. It's never enough. You always got to keep striving for more. So I'd rather take a L early on in something so that I could learn how to get the best W possible instead of having a win right away and then thinking that that's good enough. So yeah.
100%. What are some routines and habits that you've developed that help you stay locked in?
Open mics, going out in public with people with the like-minded, that are like-minded, that want to make music, freestyling with other artists or even just like friends and stuff like that. And if we're talking like outside of music, just fitness, man. And I think it's like the biggest release and get your head right. If everyone thinks it's just for muscles, nah, bro. That's for anxiety and crazy things that be going on in the head. Fitness is going to get you out of there. So those are the biggest things for me that I do. And then my peace of mind, I like to cast out a little bait, do a little fishing. That's where I meditate. That's where I get my peace of mind.
Nice, man. Nice. What kind of fishing? Ocean or freshwater?
I'm from Florida, bro. So it's just bass fishing in these lakes for me. If I can get out on the water in an ocean with my friend that has a boat, yeah, for sure. I'll do it all day. But yeah. I live on a pond and I caught 10 yesterday back to back in like 40 minutes. So
dude.
We're ripping lips out of there, man.
Nice, man. That's sick, bro. Heck yeah. All right. So kind of moving from music questions and now just a little bit on, I want to touch on leadership a little bit. So what does leadership mean to you?
Setting by example, or leading by example. What you do on the daily, or how you present yourself or how you carry yourself, is gonna hopefully inspire somebody else, and that's leadership. So, if you're the type of person that always has a good energy, I think at some point everybody realizes that we're all human. This person can't just be having the most perfect life of all time. They have to go through things too, but it's how you react. It's how you carry yourself through the adversity, through the pain, and all that stuff. So I think, when I see somebody who I can look up to their strength and how they carry themselves, that's who I consider a leader. And, definitely, it has not all been easy or anything for me at all, but, I've gone through some things, but I feel like I've always been able to keep a positive mind and not let it just throw me in the dirt. Depression at times can be a choice, happiness too. So I had to learn that the hard way of like, just get moving, man, and, keep it going. And I think that me being a coach and everything too, that's very important. You gotta know how to flip a switch and carry yourself in a certain way, no matter what else is going on in life. And it's hard, but it's part of being a man. So
yeah, no, 100%. And what do you think are like the most, other than what you just said, which I 100% agree, but what do you think in regards to like qualities are the best qualities in a leader?
Consistency. I mean, probably just like how determined and ambitious a person can be. They're automatically a leader because they have a goal and they're going for it.
Right.
And then if they're able to stay consistent, then that shows how determined they actually are at something. Everyone can be a leader for one day and act like it or seem like it, but over time is what makes people really gain traction on like, this dude ain't stopping. And now you want to follow the train. Now you want to hop on the train. Right. So yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. That consistency and discipline is what separates the men from the boys.
Facts. Facts. Everybody can be good for one day, but can you do it for a year straight? That's different.
Yeah, that's a fact. Do you think adversity is needed to build a strong human being?
Yes, I do. If your entire life is peaches and cream, then, the second something bad happens, you're not going to know how to react. So if you've gone through, listen, if you had a horrible childhood or if you had a bad upbringing and all that stuff, I mean, it it got you to be where you are now. And you might not even be as happy as you want to be or who you think you want to be at this point. But if you can gather all the bullshit and the pain that you went through when you were young, you're a grown person now. Like, realize how much that affected you at one point in your life, but you've learned from it throughout all these years and you became who you are now. So at that point, it's just like what I said earlier, like you can choose to dwell in it or you can choose to learn from it and take what you learned out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we see who's who, you know, who was able to get out of it and not be a victim and have that victim mindset, or who was able to, you know what I'm saying? So that victim mindset is a killer.
For sure, man. It's like who's able to take that pain and turn it into fuel.
Exactly. It's you only got two choices at one point, so which one are you gonna do?
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. So, how do you want to be remembered, not just professionally, but also personally?
I'd say just a good energy, man. I think there's certain people that when you spend some time with them, even if it's 5-10 minutes, they just leave an impact on you. And sometimes it's not even what they say or what they do. It's just how they carry themselves and how they move. But I definitely inspired to like make an impact on people. And I think my biggest desire with music is to make an impact with somebody. I recently had like a guy from South Africa reach out and tell me that my song Outro was everything that he wanted to say, but didn't know how to put it into words. And that was like the greatest compliment to me, because that song is just all pain and me just venting. Yeah. So to hear someone else like hear that and be like, oh my God, somebody else knows what I'm going through, was such a good compliment.
Crazy.
So I guess, like I just want to be able to be that person who can be vulnerable enough to allow others to relate to me, but at the same time, show that like I'm unbreakable at the same time, and I can always carry myself through whatever with a good energy and just stay positive. And life's a roller coaster. You know, I'm definitely an up and down type of person, but we're trying to stay on top at all times.
Yeah, for sure, man. But that's crazy, man. That's awesome that somebody said that, and that, you know, really and truly, music is a universal language, man. You know, it's what connects people universally, and that's super cool, man. I can imagine that was probably a super cool thing to hear.
100%.
Absolutely. All right, so these next questions are a little bit more just like fun, like getting to know you for the people who don't know you. So what's a random talent or skill that you have that most people don't know?
Random talent or skill? That's crazy. I got a bunch of weird talents. All right, I gotta move this a little bit and plug my phone in. My bad.
Right.
I'm trying to think. All right, here we go. Sorry. All right, I had to plug my phone in. Pretty good at bouncing on a trampoline. That's kind of weird.
Okay.
Yeah, that wall running shit where people bounce on their back and they wall run. I got really good at that for a while. I used to build trampoline parks for a living, so that became a weird talent that I have.
That's cool.
Other than that, I know there's more, but I can't think off the top of my head.
No, that's a good one. Yeah. I would have never known. All right, what's one quote or saying that you try to live by?
Quote or saying that I try to live by. I guess pain is weakness leaving the body. That's always just one of those ones that comes quick to me.
Yeah.
There's so many good quotes out there, but I think that was one that I, through the fitness journey and everything, that I locked in up here and definitely believed in it. So
yeah, no, 100%, man. And having played football myself, I know that is that's instilled in our brains, bro, from a young age.
You had a military coach that said it every day, right?
Yeah, for sure. What is your favorite movie or TV show?
The Office. The Office.
Nice.
I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but man, there was like 5 years of my life that's all I watched.
Nice.
So yeah, that's if that defines me. Yeah, there you go.
That's tight, man. No, The Office is hilarious. For sure. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be?
Whew. Anybody.
Goddamn.
I feel like if I had like a lot of time to think about this,
right.
But we're gonna go Troy Polamalu. All right, that's my guy. I used to love him when I was a kid. Man, I wore number 43. I got the long hair.
You guys are twins, bro.
That was my dude. Yeah, for real. We'll go him. We'll go Lil Wayne.
All right.
And then who would that third person be? Shit. We'll just throw another artist in there, I guess. We'll just throw like Eminem.
Okay.
That'd be an interesting blunt rotation, but yeah, we'll say that right
there. Yeah. Nice, man, for sure. If you could swap lives with any fictional character for a day, who would it be?
I feel like I'm already living a similar life, so Tarzan, you
know? Nice, dog. Nice. All right. What's one conspiracy theory that you think that could be true?
We did not land on the moon, y'all. You're telling me back when the TVs were black and white and we couldn't even use a cell phone, that we sent some dudes in a big piece of metal to land on a rock and then fly back? The flying back part, that's what really gets me. All right. But yeah, sorry.
We're opening up a whole new case of worms right now. Oh man, that's funny. All right, that's good. All right, last one. You get $10,000 to blow in 24 hours. You get to go to one store. Where are you going?
Yeah. Shit, that's hard. Honestly, I'm just going to Walmart, bro. I'm going to go to Walmart and buy a little bit of everything. I'm not going to go to like one clothing store because I'm limited. We're going to Walmart and we're having a good time.
Nice, man. Nice. For sure. I thought you might say Sam Ash, but Walmart is good too.
I spent a lot of time in Sam Ash as a kid. I got everything I need for the music. Well, no, I could have a lot more, but yeah, Sam Ash would be a good one. Bass Pro Shops would be a good one, but Bass we'll go Walmart.
All right, man. I like it, bro. For sure. So as we're kind of coming to the end here, I did want to ask, what's next for you? Is there any upcoming projects or shows or anything that you want to talk about?
For sure. Right now, no booked big shows. I just had a huge show on the 19th of April that I had a lot of people pop out. It was a great time. I got a video on my page. Nice. I plan on doing that again at least 2 more times this year, of having a big show like that. However, I'll still be doing a lot of these smaller open mics and stuff just to kind of polish things. Sure. Usually I go to the ones at Mad Chiller on Monday nights with the Takeoff. So shout out to them. Y'all pop out. Any new artists or artists in general in the city, come out, man. It's a great vibe, great place. I got a lot of songs that are in the works. Like I said earlier, I've been trying with some new genres, with some like, I guess, rock rap type stuff that I'm excited to drop. I got to do that properly though. And then, man, I got so many songs that I've just had sitting around that I'm ready to release. So those might not all be Spotify songs. They might be some YouTube stuff. But just to get them out there, they're still really good tracks. And then I have probably about 3 or 4 right now that I'm definitely going to get on all platforms, fully released to the fullest, and try to get some videos done for sure. So, yes, anybody following, man, like, stay tuned, because I've definitely been working, not just performing. Creating a lot of good stuff that I'm very excited to share with you guys. And I feel like this new wave of what I'm going to drop creatively is honestly different than the outcome in some ways. Obviously there's some similarities, but you'll hear some new sounds from your boy.
Nice, man. That's what's up. Absolutely. We're excited for that. And
yes,
also, is there any last minute shout outs or people that you want to thank?
Yeah, honestly, Takeoff, Nova, Othello, all of them. Appreciate y'all for allowing me to come do my thing on the stage on those Mondays. They did a lot for me, and even all the other open mics. Shout out to everybody. The Shuffle, Third Wednesday, all those people who have allowed me to come bless the stage and perform. Big shout out to all of them. And then just anybody who I've met within these last few months that I've been connecting with, and a lot of them that I'm in the process of making some songs with. Shout out to all of them for, just wanting to connect and work and stuff. So yeah. I can shout out hundreds of people, but now I feel like I left some people out. So we're going to keep it right there.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. That's great. Shout out to them. Absolutely. And lastly, where can people find you? Socials, all that.
All platforms, man. Brodeezy, Brodeezy. My real name is Brody. That's where it came from. I had to go with Brodeezy because if you look it up, I'm the only Brodeezy you're going to find. But if you type in Brody, there's a lot of those. Yeah. So Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere you can find Brodeezy. Yeah, man, check me out. Appreciate everyone who's looking into it. And shout out to you, my boy, for having me on here. Thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely, man. Thank you so much again for coming on the show, bro. It's been an absolute just great time and getting to learn more about you and your journey. I want to thank everybody again who's tuned in to the Hustle Coast podcast, and make sure to tune in to the next episode. It's been real.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man. You the best.
Yes, sir.